So, forever ago, I used to have a show called Coffee with Craft. This new show is actually being published on that channel to start, to let my audience know, hey, I have a brand new show. It's called Craft Creates. And on this show, we're talking about creative side hustles and what we as creatives can do to push our business and our platform forward. And on the show, we're going to have guests who are in the creator economy, and I'm going to be talking about my experience in the creator economy. And I was in the midst of prepping for a 2023 launch until I kind of got hit with this thought of why wait. And I actually wanted to start episode 1 with that thought of why wait to get started. I understand that it is important to plan, to prep, and to organize our thoughts, to lay out, especially in content creation, the goals that we want to achieve, right? It is a good thing to have a plan. It's a good thing to write that plan down. And it is a great thing to actually execute on the plans that we have written down on paper. And I actually have a Notion document full of plans for this podcast and full of steps that we're kind of producing to get this show on the road. But I could just stop there and formulate the plan and make sure everything is perfect for a February launch, or I can just get started. And I think for most new creatives, there is power in just getting started. It was 2018 and I was broke. I had just moved in to an apartment with burn holes in the carpet. It was $500 a month in Cincinnati, Ohio. It was all I could afford. And I had just started a job that I realized within 2 seconds was not the best fit for me, but it's all I had at the moment in 2018. And so there I was in this position, stressed out, struggling. I had just been in a spot where over the past few months, I had felt like my voice had been taken from me and I didn't know which way was up anymore. And I was trying to figure out, where do I go forward? And to figure out how to go forward, I plugged this microphone into my laptop at the time, and I just launched a podcast called Coffee with Craft. And it was my first attempt at uncovering my voice. And that has led me down this path now over the past few years, where now my goal is to be a creative who helps creatives find their voice and tell their story. And that's what this new podcast, Craft Creates, is all about. It's about honing your creative craft so that you can better tell your story and effectively share with your audience. That's right. This is to help you better share your story, to craft that perfectly and share that with your audience well. And so over the next year, because we're going to be really passionate about this project for a year, and we're going to see where this goes. But for the next year, we are going to figure out what it means to hone our craft, build our skill set, and grow as creatives. And that simply has to just start at some point, because no matter what, no matter who you are, there are plenty of reasons to never start something, right? Any single person can understand that there are plenty of reasons to never take an idea that starts in our head and move it forward. Each and every one of us have been in those positions, right? And also, most goals in life fail. It's something like 70 to 80% of New Year's resolutions never make it past January 1, and it's January 2nd, the time of this episode being released. There are people who day 2 into January have failed their goals, right? It is day 2 and you've already I'm giving up on losing 50 pounds, or I'm giving up on writing that book, and it's only day 2, right? But oftentimes, I believe our goals fail, or our creative pursuits fail, because we either set the wrong goal or we're fearful. Let me repeat that. We either set the wrong goal or we are fearful. Now, fearful is the one I kind of want to tackle first today, because we can be fearful for a plethora of reasons, right? And I think oftentimes in creating, we are fearful because of 2 primary reasons. And those 2 primary reasons are fear of what others think and fear of not being good enough. And I know I struggle primarily with the fear of not being good enough, but before we dive into that, let's talk about what others think, because I actually have a story that resonates with this. It was back in 2019 when I was knee deep in the Coffee with Craft podcast, where a friend of mine came and told me a story about someone from my university. It was a small university that no longer exists anymore. Came and told me the story about how he was playing video games with a group of friends, and he was like, hey, so-and-so was talking trash about your podcast. And I remember hearing that and thinking, that turd, that jerk, I want to punch that guy in the face, right? Like that's the thought I had in that moment. And then I walked away from that interaction, recorded a guest interview, and didn't think about that interaction for a while. Like until really I was sitting down and writing like this episode. I was like, oh, that didn't matter. Like that person had an opinion, but it didn't stop me from doing what I wanted to do. It didn't stop me from releasing the next episode. It didn't stop me from doing what I felt like I was creatively supposed to do. And that taught me something very powerful, is that there's always going to be people who have opinions about the things you create, why you create, and how you create. And some of those opinions matter, right? Some of those opinions, especially when they come from mentors, really close friends and family, like we should take some stock into those, right? But if they come from random passerbys, comment sections on the internet of a troll, not like your primary audience, right? But like a troll who's just coming in here and spewing venom, or like a person you've never talked to, but said something to your friend, guess what? Those opinions don't matter. Those opinions do not matter. The only opinion that truly matters is your own. And two, right? Like the opinions you choose to let matter, right? So your opinion and the opinion you choose to let matter are truly the only opinions that have validity within your life. And so for me, the opinions that matter to me are, I have a couple of mentors whose opinions I rank very highly, right? But I also have a fiance, soon to be wife, who her opinion ranks higher than those mentors. So I have her opinion, my mentor's opinions, and then I have my close friends' opinions. And outside of that, right? Those opinions are really the only ones I'm searching for when it comes to how I as an individual want to grow, or how I as an individual want to build my life. Opinions really outside of that truly don't matter. They just don't. Do I love my family? Yes, but sometimes their opinion doesn't matter. Do I love a lot of my friends or acquaintances? Yes, but their opinions sometimes don't really matter, right? Like, it's okay to say that, and it's okay not to put stock in every single person's opinion, comma, right? Wow, you aren't putting stock in every single person's opinion. You do with the opinions you do hold, right? You seek to listen to those. You make sure you're not surrounded by yes people, and you make sure you create with integrity. That's a whole episode coming down the pipeline later, creating with integrity, but it's incredibly important, right? That while not everyone's opinion matters, we also make sure we surround ourselves with individuals who are going to tell us the truth, because the last thing we need is individuals who aren't going to tell us the truth. And so that's the first fear, right? Is the fear of what others think. The second fear is like, what if I'm not good enough? What if I'm not good enough? And that is a very valid fear in and of itself. And let me like just be straight with you. You're probably not. You're probably not good enough. Look at my background right now. There's a tripod and a door behind me. Like that's it. Like this is not some fanciful background. Like this doesn't look super professional. I'm not ready. I don't have 1 million subscribers. The highest platform I have is 900 followers on a platform. Like legit, like 900 followers on a platform is the highest platform I have. But here I am with a unprofessional recording space, a Blue Yeti microphone, and a 1080p Logitech webcam recording this right now. Like that's what I'm doing. I'm just starting, even though it's not good enough. It's not. Like, let's be real. This is going to evolve and this is going to change over the next few months. And that's okay. You don't have to be good enough when you start. You just have to make the next video better, or you have to make the next piece of content better. Here is the thing so many people get bogged down into is you will perpetually fall into these habits or these spaces where you so desperately want things to be perfect. But the reality is they never will be perfect. Let me repeat that. The reality is they never will be perfect. There's not a perfect opportunity. There's always going to be something that goes wrong. And that's okay. That's fine. It's okay if things aren't perfect. But don't let the fact that things will never be perfect hinder you from starting your creative hobby or your creative journey. My monitor lights have gone off. Like if you're watching the video recording of this podcast over on YouTube, like my monitors keep going to sleep because I didn't set the proper setting before recording. And so like legit, there's a flash on the screen every like 5 minutes because I didn't set the proper timer on the monitors, right? Like things aren't perfect even in this recording. That's okay. They're never going to be perfect. The fact is, though, make everything a little bit better. My philosophy is 1% better every single day. How am I going to make the next thing 1% better? Because if I make the next thing 1% better every single day, by the end of the year, I'm 365% better than I was at the start of the year. So make everything just 1% better. The same is true when you start creating content. Make everything just 1% better. It's turning the dial just a little bit each time we create so that we can find some success down the road, but we turn that dial slowly and surely. So please don't let fear and what others think hold you back from starting your creative endeavors. Like if you have something you want to do this next year, a process you want to create, a piece of work, a book, a podcast, a YouTube channel, whatever it may be that you want to create and you want to start doing, I want you to do that. And it starts by just simply, friends, just simply pushing past fear and getting the first thing out there. Pushing past fear and starting even when it's not perfect, even when you're not good enough. And in spite at times at what others think, because it's in those moments that really cool things start to happen. Hey, I'm super excited for this show. Over the next few weeks, we're going to be talking about a lot of incredible things. Some of those incredible things include next week talking about crushing your 2023 goals as a creative. I'm also going to share with you 3 lessons from building my video editing business. We're going to take a look at a clip from a podcast where Casey Neistat was talking about his disdain for TikTok and what I, as a modern creative and a millennial creative, think about that take, someone who looks up to Casey Neistat. I also going to talk about 5 tips to streamline your creation process. And so this is all coming down the pipeline. We're all incredibly excited about it. But if you found value in the show, do me a favor, click that like button. If you're on YouTube, click that subscribe button. If you are listening on any of our other platforms, please rate this show. It desperately helps. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this. And thank you for just starting with me. I'm Craft. Let's create something cool together. I'll see you next week.